Hello, my name is Michael Keller, and I'm the designer of Captains of Industry. In this video, I'm going to be giving you a very quick overview of the gameplay, and in a separate video, I'll give you a fully detailed rules explanation. However, in both videos, the graphics you'll be seeing are not final. Now, the reason for this is that I want to be able to give you a gameplay overview early on and not have to wait for the final graphics package to be put together. However, once we put up a rulebook, you'll be able to look through that and get a very good idea of what the final graphics will look like. So let's take a look at Captains of Industry. Captains of Industry is an economic game where players are not competing to be the richest, but competing to be the one with the most market power, as measured by market share points. Players gain these points mainly by competing in the markets for 7 different commodities, each of which is produced by a different facility, such as the steel forge or the university. Unlike most games, when a player creates a good, he or she may not keep it for themselves. That good must be immediately placed in a central market where other players will have the opportunity to purchase that good from the creator. A player not only gains money by having their goods purchased by another player, but also gains market share points. For every good you sell to another player, you gain 1 market share. In addition, players will have the chance to build real estate. There are 4 real estate areas on the board, and players will have the opportunity to build real estate cards and place them in those real estate areas. Real estate is important because it increases demand for the goods that players create. Because in addition to buying and selling from each other, players will be selling to the game at the end of each of the game's 3 ages. And what they sell to the game will depend on the demand icons that are present on the real estate that they have built. So for instance, by playing this real estate card into this area, it is placing 2 demand icons for the energy market that's adjacent, 1 demand icon for the durables market that's adjacent, and 1 demand icon for the consumables market, which is adjacent. Therefore, at the end of the age, these icons mean that 4 total goods will be bought from those 3 markets. Of course, if more real estate is built, more goods will be bought. Players will have to compete to sell the goods that are being bought by the game on price. And so it's important for players to price high enough to make it worth their while to produce a good, but low enough that they don't get undercut by a competitor. If a player manages to sell more goods in a sector of the economy than any other player, he or she will be considered to have dominated that sector and score bonus market share for doing so. In addition to selling goods, there are other ways for a player to gain market share. For example, at the start of the game, players will be dealt 4 captain cards. These cards have a hidden objective for that player. Over the course of the game, the player will have to discard 3 of these cards. However, any captain cards they have left over can be scored at the end of the game, depending on whether or not that player has met the requirements listed on the card. Also, players can score points through the purchase and use of certain advancements. These advancements will either give a recurring or one-time ability, which will help the player to score market share, directly or indirectly. Finally, there is a market share bonus for the players who end the game with the most money. Those with the most, second most, and third most money at the end of the game will score that extra market share. So you can see there are many different ways for a player to accumulate the market share that is necessary to be declared the captain of industry at the end of the game. However, on a player's turn, he or she can only do one thing. This ensures that the game moves quickly, and it's never too long before your next turn. Players will have to react to changing market conditions as competitors enter and leave the various markets, and be able to sense an opportunity to score some resources cheaply, or to satisfy demand that would go unfulfilled. Players will have to balance bringing in enough income to keep growing their economic engine, with keeping prices low enough to scare away potential competitors. There's no feeling worse than having an opponent swoop in and undercut you at a critical moment, and no feeling greater than being able to do that to someone else. So watch out. While you may need to transact business with your opponents in the short term, in the end, only one of you can be a captain of industry.